Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the actor Daniel Kaluuya. He says he's tired of being asked about race. Now, if you remember, he is one of the stars of Queen and Slim. He also became known for his part in the movie Get Out. He says that he's not defined by race. He's just Daniel, who happens to be black, you see. I'm going to read just a bit of this article here to kind of give you a little insight on what he is experiencing right now. It says the Get Out and Black Panther star Daniel Kaluuya has said he doesn't want to be defined by racial issues, and he finds it boring to talk about his work in terms of race. Now, he's a British actor and writer, and he gained international fame with his starring role in the horror film Get Out, for which he was nominated for a string of awards. Before moving on to Marvel's Black Panther and Steve McQueen thriller Widows. Okay, so he doesn't want to be defined by his race. He goes on to say that he's resisting the racial narrative into which he felt he was being forced into. He says, I'm not going to ignore that. I'm surrounded by racial issues, but I am not defined by it. I'm just Daniel, who happens to be black. Now, I want to give two perspectives on this. I understand what he is saying when he says that he's not going to ignore it. He's surrounded by it, but he doesn't want to be defined by it. I'm okay with that statement when he says he doesn't want to be defined by race. I get that. Okay. The part that I'm having trouble with is the fact that he says he finds racial issues boring. He finds them boring, you see. And there is, just a little touch of trying to distance himself from being black, even though he says, yeah, I just happen to be black. When you say it in that way, in terms of racial issues in which we are all surrounded by, even he admitted that, it seems as though he's trying to distance himself publicly so that those who are not black could see him as different. You see, a lot of celebrities take that high road. They're like, you know what? I don't want to be connected to my people like that. I know I look like them, but I'm different. This is why you see a lot of celebrities and some of these sports players and just many of them, they marry white people or other people. And that's all they surround themselves with. You see, they hang out with, and they have very few friends or associates that even look like them. When I say very few, I'm talking about a dot or two, right? If they had 100 friends, out of that 100 friends, you might only see 3 that are actually black like them. Okay. Giving them the benefit of the doubt, let's say they have 20 out of 100. And so that means the other 80 friends don't look like them. That's what a lot of these celebrities actually come into. And some of them, it's like they're the only black person in the whole group. When I look at how tragic all of this is, we don't see the forest for the trees. No one is saying that you need to hang out in the hood around some thug who's up to no good. We're not saying that. But many of our people, when they distance themselves, they distance from everybody. And I'm talking about even their own families in some cases. Now, I'm not talking about either people who do it for religious reasons because their families don't like what they're involved in. I'm talking about this right here. This right here to where they don't want to be identified as or defined by, which I understand that you don't want to be defined by race. Okay. But again, there seems to be an element of wanting to distance yourself. And it's kind of hard to explain this sometimes because a lot of people do this, but for very different reasons. Let me just tap into the religious world for a moment. There are cases where you have someone who is a Christian who doesn't hang around family members who drink and smoke and do drugs and things of that nature. And so that's a given, that's understood. You'll have someone who may be a Muslim who doesn't hang around family who are Christians, but they still love each other, you see, but they just don't have the same type of lifestyle, if you know what I mean. So those types of breaks in a relationship are just there. I mean, that happens regardless to the racial group. But I don't see white people trying to distance themselves from white people just because they're like, I don't want to be defined by that. You see what I'm saying? I'm explaining this because some people will try to draw a parallel between people who have different lifestyles versus celebrities who just don't want to be black. If they had an opportunity to wash it all off, they would. There's a huge difference, okay? But again, sometimes this stuff have to be explained because you will have people all in the comment section trying to deflect from what you are saying. And they'll say, well, you religious people do it all the time. As a matter of fact, they'll call you your name and say religious nuts or whatever, in which I've made it very clear many times on my channel that I am not religious. I don't believe in religion. I draw a clean line of separation between religion and serving our Creator. Because you don't need religion to serve our Creator. That's a whole other topic. I'm just kind of throwing that in there for those of you who don't know how to make a separation of what I'm talking about. Likewise, you can have family members who might have a certain alternative lifestyle that they're living. And so because you have absolutely nothing in common, you kind of distance yourself from that, if you know what I mean. Like if you have a cousin who likes to date dogs and cattle and stuff like that, of course, you're going to say, you know what, he's too weird. He's strange and he got some weird stuff going on in his brain. I know that's my cousin, but I can't have nothing to do with him. You see, it's a shame that I have to use such a drastic example to get a point across again. But we see it all the time. Deflection, deflection, deflection. I just wanted to cue in on this story because we see this a lot with celebrities where when they become successful, no longer do they desire to connect to their own. But they pick a whole other group of people who they want to surround themselves with, as if they can't find anyone of their own racial group to even deal with. All right, that is my 2 cents on this story. And with that, I will say shalom. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.